welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how I created my daughter's Easter basket. I bought about 1.25 yards of this fleece from Joann's, and then there will be a lining of flannel which is the same pattern as well, and I bought about 1 yard of that. I made the bottom a 14-inch circle, which gives me a circumference of around 44 inches, and I measure about 7.5 inches from the corner of that fold out. The walls of the basket is going to be about 44 inches long, so I actually cut 2 pieces that are 22 inches long, and the walls are 12 inches high. And a strap that was about 3 inches wide, that was about 25 inches long, and I cut 2 of those for the strap. For the lining, which will be this flannel, I went ahead and cut the same amount out for the bottom than the walls, but not the strap. To add a little extra fluff, I actually used this quilt batting that I got from Joann's as well, and I will be putting this in the between the 2 bottom layers and the wall layers. Since fleece is stretchy, to add some structure and stability to the strap, I cut out a piece of muslin to go in between the 2. To start, I'm going to go ahead and grab the strap. I will iron this muslin down since it's very wrinkled, and then I will pin the 2 layers of fleece and the muslin together, making sure that the muslin is actually on the outside as I sew, and that way when I flip it right sides out, the muslin will be sandwiched in between the 2 pieces of fleece. And I will sew along both long edges, leaving the short sides open. Cutting off the excess seam allowance, I go ahead and flip this right sides out. With it turned right sides out, I go ahead and iron it and set it aside. For the walls of the basket, I go ahead and take my fleece sides and I will sew those together so it's a one long loop. And I will do the same thing with the flannel sides, however I will be adding the batting to it as well. So on the outside I have the 2 pieces of batting. For the bottom of the basket, I go ahead and take my fleece layer, my 2 batting layers, and my flannel layer, and I will actually put those wrong sides to wrong sides for the fleece and the flannel, and then making sure that my 2 batting layers are in between those, and I will actually baste these down. With the bottom layer basted, I go ahead and cut off the excess seam allowance and set that aside. Finish up the walls of the basket, I go ahead and take my lining and my fleece fabric, and I will put those right sides to right sides and sew the top edge only. As I'm pinning the top layer together, I go ahead and actually grab my strap and I will pin that as well into the top layer so that all gets sewn as one. With the walls sewn together, I go ahead and cut off the excess seam allowance, and then I will flip it right sides out. Matching up the bottom, I will go ahead and pin that together, and I will baste this down so it acts as one piece. And as before, cut down the seam allowance. Now, grabbing my bottom of the basket, I go ahead and pin this to fleece all around the circumference of the circle. I want the seam allowance to be on the inside of the basket because I will be adding some bias tape to cover that raw edge. And again, cutting down the seam allowance so I can add the bias tape to it. Taking my bias tape, I go ahead and pin it all the way around the seam allowance, and I will sew that down, and then the basket should be done. And here's the finished basket with all of her Easter goodies in it. It's perfect for the amount I get her. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time, and happy Easter. Bye.